IVM.
You're listening to TFG Football.
Hello and welcome to another episode of TFG Indian Football Podcast. Yes, yesterday we put out an episode which was a roundup of everything that's happening on I-League and ISL, and we are a weekly show now, but this is a special occasion and we are breaking the routine and we are bringing you two shows in 2 days because that's what is needed right now if you're going to talk about Indian football, everything that's happening, in detail. And the reason we're back today is because today is Thursday. Day after tomorrow on Saturday at 9:30 p.m. Indian Standard Time, India are going to take on a team that's quite up there. And by saying quite up there, that's just played against Croatia and put on a good show. Got a close finish, 2-1 loss. India is playing Jordan. And Kevin, how optimistic are you?
This is the first time India plays Jordan.
Yeah.
And just understanding the magnitude of this match, it already gives me that tense feeling, but still excited at the same time. West Asian country, you don't get to play teams like a strong West Asian country on too many occasions, and this is a great opportunity for India. And the lead up to it's just about 1.5 months to go for the Asian Cup, and these kind of matches is what
it's here already, man. Damn, Asian Cup is almost upon us. So much shit is going on. I-League, ISL, this and that. Second division is coming up. You just kind of lose track that this is like T minus 45 or something like that, because it's time. It's the final phase of preparations for the Asian Cup. Everything that has been building up in Indian football for the last 3 years is going to come to a culmination. So what do you think of this team, man? Jordan. Although the first thing I want to point something out, India seems to have become Asia's favorite warm-up opponent. Right? I mean, China played India just so they could warm up for the friendly against Syria, and Jordan is playing India only because they're playing Saudi Arabia on the 19th. And look at this, they're playing Saudi Arabia on the 19th, which means they have 48 hours between two matches. What that tells me is either one, they do not take India seriously, and or two, they will field a secondary team against India, and they will give a lot of chances to their players who don't otherwise get a look-see when they're playing a serious opponent. One of the two is happening.
You should be having a third option as well. Probably India is being taken as a lighter opponent, and also they're going to not play their A side.
Yeah.
But again, if we go down to the details, we'll talk about that in a while. It really looks that way that, from India's perspective, this is great. Even though we're playing West Asian country, we might not be the first choice opponent, but again, we're getting games against good sides, good physical sides. It just reflects what we can expect at UAE, in the month of January. So I think just keep it to us. This is great for us.
Yeah, it doesn't matter whether they are playing A side or B side. If the national team reserves in Jordan is no joke, right? You just look at the depth of experience they have. How many players they have who have played more than 100 games? They've got Amir Shafi, the goalkeeper captain. There's that midfielder Baha Abdul Rahman. He's played more than 100 games. I'm looking down the list. And they have two defenders who have played almost 80 games. Another who has played more than 50 games. This is like a completely veteran side. Very antithetical to what India is under Constantine. They've got like Hamza Al Darbar, who's played 55 games. We have
but the catch is Hamza is not included in the squad for Jordan.
Okay.
So India doesn't
that
have
makes things interesting.
India doesn't have Sunil Chhetri.
Yeah, exactly. So it balances out. But yeah, see, I mean, how many of us have that many caps? Like JJ has 50 plus, Sunil has 100 plus. Sunil is not in this match, so it's like I'm pretty sure the just looking at the squad, their fifth most experienced player is more experienced than our first most experienced player. And at this point, it's probably JJ who's got the and why I'm saying probably JJ is the most capped player out there right now. Unless they somehow leave it. So basically, it's a if they rest all of their centenarians, all the players who have played more than 80, 100 games, they're still going to get a similarly experienced side that India has as its A side. And that just tells you where we are, in terms of quality. But because they're probably going to play a lot of younger players, where do you think this is going to go, man? How do you see this playing out?
Well, this it could be a testing way of getting the squad into that mode where you try out your younger players who want to come into the main side by giving them friendly matches, and that's probably the right way to go. I think even India has done that on many occasions. The friendlies and the tournaments, which really didn't make too much of a big noise or an impact on India's ranking. And that is where you try out your players, and this also looks similar for Jordan in this situation. This is going by firstly looking at one of the most capped players, Amir Shafi there. Amir Shafi usually, he's like Subrata Paul.
Yeah.
He's there in the team, but he's not the first choice, that way. So Yasin is the preferred goalkeeper for Jordan, and I believe he should be making the start. So just like we've got Sunil Chhetri, they've also got a number of Sunil Chhetris in their team, a lot of goals, a lot of caps for national teams. But yeah, this is going to be a fresh side, along with for a few of the regular starters. You have the Zaid brothers who are expected to be in the defense, and along with Bakid. So Bakid is another defender who's regularly featured. So this it's going to be a mix, but it's going to be on the heavy on the younger side for Jordan. So not bad an experience for India, especially when you're playing away. This helps you in the long run.
Yeah, man, I'm just looking at this Jordan team list, and it just looks like exactly how Indian team should be looking, 5 or 10 years down the line, in their development cycle. That they have like 4 or 5 players who are playing abroad. One is playing in USL, lower league in America. There's one Musa Al Tamari who's playing in Cyprus top division. There's one who's playing in Saudi league. It's just like these guys have been putting in the work, and they have just improved so much in the last few years. It's just look at the results that they have got. Just Albania, they got held to a goalless draw. Jordan, they held to a goalless draw. Lebanon, they lost 1-0. Cyprus, they lost 1-0. This year, they have had draws against Vietnam. They beat Denmark. Imagine where we will be. Like, we will probably be, doing the podcast from Totosphere because we'll be jumping around so much. They beat they beat Denmark 3-2. And what a game that was! Like, till the end, they kept scoring. It's great to see India playing a team like this, but where do you think the priority should be here, man? Because from where I am, you can take this two ways. You can either use this game as a battering ram, because even if you lose, doesn't matter. Because nobody really cares about the rankings anymore, because everybody's focus is on Asian Cup, preparing as best as you can for the Asian Cups. That's why we went to China, and China played some of the non-regular players against us, because it's about testing. They don't care. Even if it affects their ranking right now, it doesn't matter as much because you can always make it up in the Asian Cup. So should we also take that risk and just go all attack and see if we can get something out of it and see our players, non-regular players, get some game time? Or should we think about the results? Or should we think about having, just using whatever points we can get? Because we beat Jordan somehow. That elevates us, man. That's going to send us 4-5 places up in the ranking.
What I feel is going to be a game of two halves. We will see a balanced side, probably a defense-heavy side in the first half. And second half is where the experimentation starts. And you have a number of substitutions available since it's a friendly. So on an average, 4 to 5 substitutions are usually made on any friendly game. So I'm expecting the same to be happening on India's side as well. But first half is what we will determine how we can take the experience from the game. Because second half, towards the end of the second half, we will see a lot of changes from both teams. Even Jordan is expected to make a lot of changes. So first half is what will determine what we take away from this not very common friendly going away to play a West Asian country and a country that has recent. But just coming back to your point, Chiranjit, they have played some good countries in friendlies, but just looking at the results, it haven't been very pleasing. If you just consider the results, among the last 10 games, they've only won 3 times. So,
but they've been playing such a higher level of opponents, man.
Yes.
Similar thing with somebody like China or some of the more ambitious Asian countries. They keep losing, like Bahrain. They keep losing, but they're always playing like opponents which are way higher. And because that's because they're sacrificing those results for now, so that in the long run they can make improvements from the learnings they get from these games. So Jordan is up there, man. Jordan is risking it. They're not playing a ranking game like AIFF did over the last few years.
Yeah. Just looking back at India's performances, in the last 10 games, we've dropped points only 4 times.
Yeah. So but how many of them were in SAF championship, dude? SAF championship. We sent our juniors over there. We treated SAF worse than China treated us. So that's what we've been doing, and before China, like the last few months, we have not had so many opportunities to play significantly higher ranked teams. So we have not. Only now we have started to punch up, and I think we could have started a little bit earlier. But Derai Durustai, let's just do this. So what do you think is going to be outcome and result here?
For me, the physical battle is what I'm looking at. Especially players like Anirudh Thapa, Borges. We've seen he's already outperforming some of the physical players. But players like Thapa, Manveer Singh, the young guys, especially the ones who may expecting to be in the first 11 in another couple of months or so. We want to see how these guys stand up the physical battle, because we've always lost the physical aspect of the game, and especially the midfield and the central part. I think we really lost out on being able to contain the game physically. So that's going to be one aspect that we should be targeting. If we can hold on to larger players who tend to be more aggressive. So even though Jordan would be playing the younger players, but I'm pretty sure that it's going to be a tough physical battle that we'll be thrown into.
Yeah, and we got players like Pranay Haldar and Jarmanpreet Singh out there who are used to that physical battle, who are able to stand up to the challenge. No Eugene Lingdo till now. Let's move on to that. It's the national team, and the selection once again has been like a little bit contentious here and there. We will hear from Stephen Constantine on the show in a few minutes from now. But before we go into that, Does this midfield, with Udanta, Nikhil, Prannoy, Roland, Anirudh, Jackie Chan, good to see Jackie back, Vinith is there, Jarmanpreet is there, Holicharan, Ashik, and Vikas. This midfield looks like something that can stand up to a physical battle with a West Asian side.
I don't know. As far as one standout player that I can pick who can never really play the physical game is Jackie Chan and Prannoy Halder. Prannoy Halder, obviously, he's come up recently, and Jackie Chan is one experienced guy whom we want in such games. When you have cool heads in the midfield, that's when the entire game, the balance starts moving towards our team. So Jackie Chan and Prannoy Halder will be the key. Udanta, obviously, we're working on his speed. We're working on his ability to send in the crosses. Yeah. But the containment game is what is expected from Jackie Chan and Prannoy Halder.
Well, Jackie Chan is probably going to be in the wing opposite of Udanta, and that the wing we need the speed.
So, are we expecting a 4-4-2 again?
Pardon? 4-4-2? Probably. I don't know what else can happen. I think if Stephen is feeling adventurous, he might go in with JJ and Balwant up front, and maybe Balwant will play a little bit of withdrawn role, or JJ will play a bit of withdrawn role. Although none of them are way too comfortable in the withdrawn role, it's Sunil who does it most of the time. If we need one guy ahead and one guy behind him, which conveniently brings us to the topic of Sunil Chhetri, because he's out with an injury. And guess what? When I heard the first news for the first time, Sunil is not going to be in this match, it took me 3 seconds to realize who should be the replacement. And it's such an elementary thing that you can just turn it into a nursery rhyme like Michael Suseraj, Chhetri ko replace karna hai aaj. And of course, one day later it was like Michael dheere chal, Chhetri ko replace kiya Komal. And my mind was just boggled. Like, literally, if Asian Cup is the one you're preparing for, if that is the goal, then who replaces Sunil Chhetri at this point in this situation other than Michael Suseraj? It's beyond me. Like Komal Thatal, I know he's a good player. He's been he was there in the Under-17 World Cup. He's getting good playing time at 80K. He's blossoming into his prime. But he's 18 years old and he's not gonna give us anything in the Asian Cup. If we want an attacking midfielder who can play up front and get goals and have a role similarly that Sunil Chhetri plays when we are under pressure, and somebody needs to act as a bridge between the midfield and the attack, then it's Michael Suseraj. It's so obvious, and he just went with Komal Thatal. And given Stephen's tendency, he'll probably sneak Komal in because he wants another player to debut under him. So, what do you think of this move, man?
The surprise is always there when you can expect a big blow like Sunil Chhetri not being part of this iconic match, I would say. But Komal Thatal, I've not seen him play too much in the ISL as well. He's not getting regular starts. Not that we've got some obvious names. Suseraj couldn't be a like-for-like replacement for Chhetri. Probably, yes, somebody like Mandar would have been a better choice. That's what I feel. But again, you've got to look around. You've got to see. Again, let's come back to the point where is Sunil Chhetri replaceable?
No, he's not.
Right now, we don't have somebody who can bring in that experience, bring in that leadership in the same position or a similar stance that he plays just behind the strikers, or probably dropping off and attracting defenders. So we really don't have a standout player to have to be there in place of Sunil Chhetri. Komal Thatal, I don't know where you can fit him right. He's not got games under his belt. He's only 18. He's not a regular starter. He obviously, he cannot even be close to the many contenders that we have on the left wing. We got so many options. But Komal Tatal was obviously not even a close choice to take to Jordan.
Yeah.
If it was Nepal, I could still understand. You can still try out players that could have been Bangladesh, Pakistan. You can still understand. Not obviously not to Jordan.
Yeah. Well, obviously not. That's not the one you want to debut him, and that's what sort of stuck out to me. If you want to try out a player like Komal Tatal, and as Stephen Constantine was saying, that Komal Tatal has been under their radar for a while, and of course everybody's under his radar. Anybody who's anywhere near the national team. So why didn't he get a chance at the SAF Championship? You want to. That was the whole point of the SAF Championship. I thought, like, you want to, breed replacements, give them some game time, some international action, some experience, so that you can bring them in if a senior player is out for some reason, right? And Sunil Chhetri is out, and you're turning to Komal Tatal, man. It does not serve us in the Asian Cup. That's all I would say. It's a good thing, like, okay, in the long run we are grooming a new superstar or whatever it is, but now it should be all about Asian Cup. Sometimes, in most cases in football, you should have a long-term vision, but sometimes when the big event that everybody has been preparing for and everything depends on is 1.5 months away, then maybe not have that much of a long-term vision. Maybe just focus on what's coming next and just try to get stuff on that. See, I understand Susiraj is not a like-for-like replacement for this thing, Sunil Chhetri, right? But what have we done in the games where Sunil has been absent? We can look back at the Macau away game where Balwant Singh stepped up. That was Balwant JJ. We can look at the Kyrgyzstan away game where JJ stepped up. Balwant was also there. So yeah, if Sunil Chhetri is not there, we know what's going to happen up front. It's going to be a Balwant JJ partnership. But when Sunil is playing that number 10 role, where he's linking the midfield and this thing, that's why that's the kind of player Michael Susiraj is. He doesn't play as striker, but he plays behind the striker, and we are not going to be in a position to play two strikers all the time in Asian Cup. So maybe try a 4-4-1-1 or something like that, 4-5-1, however you want to put it. That could work with Susiraj. And does it work with Romeo? I don't know. Do you think that works with Romeo Fernandes?
Romeo, obviously, no. Probably Chante could have done being there again on. But no, if it was a choice to pick Chante over Patel, I think it would definitely be an easier choice to just pick a player who's been one of the prominent under 23 players, and he's got experience. He's played in the under 23 side as well. You want such players who's got games under the belt at the Asian level. That makes relevant experience. You can't take somebody who's not been part of the World Cup, even though his name was there in the list, and somebody who's out of favor with the coach at the national level. All of a sudden, you have cameras running for a player who's under 18 and getting just the limelight, but no game under the belt. So there, I feel it's a huge setback for us to take a player where we could have tried one of the outstanding talents we've seen from over a year. Komal Tatal hasn't been part of any game time from we've seen after the World Cup. So it's pretty. I would say not the smartest choice to take.
The guy should have first been exposed to the under 23 camp before he goes onto the national team camp. And let's face it, the biggest 90% chances that he doesn't play a significant role. He's gonna just get an experience of the camp, and Constantine has done this with other players, which is a good thing for those young players to get a look and feel. But we're kind of beyond the look and feel point right now. Anyway, let's take a short break. On the other side, we will hear from Stephen Constantine as he was speaking to the media before the Indian team left for Jordan. And we will also discuss some of the other names that have been thrown around as deserving candidates for a place in the national team, but they don't seem to be getting it at this point. So come back to us. We'll talk more on the other side.
Hey everybody, it's another awesome week on IVM Podcast. If you're not following us on social media, please make sure you do. We're IVM Podcast on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. This week on Cyrus Says, Cyrus talks to journalist Rachel Lopez about her Taxi Ceiling art series and her own podcast, Wordy Woodpecker, available only on the IVM network. On Simplified, Chuck, Naren, and Shrika deconstruct the latest UN report on climate change and why the next 2 decades might be the most important for the Earth. On the latest special episode of Paisa Vaisa, Anupam talks to Hansi Malhotra, an investment professional and owner of the financial blog, themoneyhunts.com. On Shunya One, Sheila Ditya and I speak to Arpit Ratan, co-founder of SignZ, a fintech company that makes regulatory processes for bank and other financial institutions simple, secure, and compliant. On the Kinetic Living podcast, Coach Urmi talks to childhood buddy and actor Shikat Alsaniab. She elaborates on her fitness journey and how she balances work, diet, and the need to stay fit. And just a reminder, guys, please tell a friend. You need to tell a friend that you're listening to a podcast that you like and get them to listen to the podcast that you think they will like. And with that, let's take you on with your show.
Welcome back after the break. And we are getting a little bit more into controversial territory right now. Brandon Fernandez, of course, another name that gets talked around. He's been playing well as Romeo. Mandar Rao Desai, man, he's also been talked about forever. Like, these guys are delivering right now. They're approaching their prime. They're playing so well in ISL. Why are they not getting the chance? Why not they're not getting the call up? And if Komal Thatal gets a chance to come to the national team and show himself in the practice session, why not these guys? I mean, these guys have a better chance of delivering if we need them in the Asian Cup. But it just seems like Constantine is determined to ignore them, man.
Yeah, we will talk about this earlier, the deserving players who stood out in the domestic league, in terms of talking about 1 or 2 games in over a season. Coming back to a season ago, not last season, when Azwal FC were in the limelight, J.S. Rane was talked about. Why wasn't he in the team? He played a crucial role in the midfield. He could have been a potential candidate to be part of the camp. Last season, we saw Adil Khan doing so well in the midfield. Yeah. He was promoted from being a defender. Obviously, that's his versatility. From being a defender to the midfield, holding and even attacking. So we've got players who've shown their performances, and I think they deserve the chance to be there, even though they're not past their prime as of now, because they're still getting games, getting 90 minutes on the clock. So it's just sad to miss out at least a handful that we've talked about repeatedly. But again, there has been this policy of having debuts to the list and a number of players who could come up through the ranks. So the younger player, the debut card is being played more often than the deserving and the stronger team that we could have done from the past 2 or 3 years.
Well, I thought, you would think the debut card would be a little bit old after the team that was sent to SAF Championship. It's like, you get a debut, everybody gets a debut. And, of course, Constantine has set records, which is good because he's brought the team to the next generation. But then again, we go back to that issue of some deserving players getting ignored. And we know what the situation is, right? I mean, we know the controversy that happened when these guys did not show up at the national team camp ahead of the SAF Championship, the one before this one that was happening in Kerala. And Constantine did not buy the excuse that they were injured. And since then, they have not been called up. And man, what to say? It's those individual players should not be in the line of the coach's rage at this point, because whatever they did, it was at the behest of their clubs, and they have been punished for this already. So I don't know if why Constantine is holding on to that grudge, especially when we need them.
Well, we've talked about Isaac also being there.
Yeah. Isaac. Isaac, that thing. Oh my goodness,
that was again a fallout for giving a. I think in one of the interviews which was not authorized. And
no, he did not do it. But dude, like that's the thing. They ran the interview when he was in the camp, but he had given the interview before he went to the camp, so he's got no fault at all in that episode. But he just got told off in front of other players, and just like what does that do to a young player who's going up there and getting his big break? That's gonna change his career forever. And he's with the players he has admired since he started playing, and in front of them he gets told off for something he did not do, and we've never seen him back. I don't even know if
we've seen one player who's kept his spot. Respect for what his performances has been, whether he's past his prime or he's still giving 100% here and there. He kept his spot. You know who we are talking about. It is Sumit Patil. Although we shouldn't be saying that, just like Sunil Chhetri for the Indian team, Sumit Patil also deserves to be there because he's earned a spot. I don't know for what reason, but he is consistently being part of the camp. That's just sad because I don't see him as a great addition to the team. We've fallen short of strikers. We've fallen short of good strikers. Balwant Singh, JJ, Sunil Chhetri, they've gotten the goals. But then we need somebody to step up. But Sumit Patil hasn't been that guy. Probably we should be looking at those aspects when we get such gears. Jordan doesn't come along every day. I don't think any West Asian countries. We talked about Palestine coming to India, but then that also was a fallout. So it's tough. If you close guys like Sumit Patil being into the team consistently, and the real ones who stood out with the performance is missing out.
Yeah, I mean, and of course, Stephen says when you ask about him, like why this player is not getting a chance, that player is not getting a chance. He's like, I like off the ball players, and he wants players who work to get back the ball because in Asian Cup we're not gonna be the team with all the possession. But that's the thing, man. I mean, if a player is good on the ball, and maybe in ISL or I League they are not getting that kind of exposure to situations where they are having to work back all the time to win back the ball, and they have to put in off the ball hours to get control of the game. Maybe try them out. Maybe they will adapt to the situation. Maybe they're creative enough because and the players we're talking about, Brandon, Romeo, and Mandar, these are creative players. So if they get a chance to prove themselves in a situation, they might adapt and play a different game. But if they're not even getting a chance, then what to say?
I think even Amarjeet would have been a better choice than Komal Khattar. Amarjeet, who's played so many games, he's captain the Indian side. He's a leader in the midfield, the leader of the team. He's got so many options, he's got so many players who are much better than Komal Khattar. It doesn't justify him being in the squad. He may or may not make it to the final 23, but again, being part of the camp is also a huge experience. Yeah,
I mean, seriously, I mean, at this point, that's the point we're coming back to, man. That it's not a knock on Komal Khattar, but it's just what we need right now. And like anybody who's been following Indian football can see that Asian Cup has to be the first, second, third, fourth priority right now. Anyway, let's listen to Stephen Constantine, who met the reporters. Things got pretty heated because people were pressing him on the same issues that we talked about, on some players being left out, the Sunil Chhetri issue, because as we spoke, if you've been listening to the podcast, we spoke about some tensions in the dressing room, and yeah, we've been hearing that stuff too, that there is a potential issue between the captain Sunil Chhetri and Stephen Constantine, and that may be hampering what the atmosphere is at in the dressing room. So it's the things got a little bit heated. There was a lot of back and forth, but a lot of things were clarified in terms of what Constantine is thinking and how he's approaching the game. So let's take a listen to him.
Well, I think it's just another game for us where we obviously we want to do well, and preparations have been okay. Of course, we had the smog issue, but we have that kind of under control in terms of the times that we train and we try to make sure that we are training at the least possible cause of danger to the players as possible, but we're okay. So far, so good.
Anyways, the floor is open. Please raise your hand and so that our volunteer can bring the mic to you so that you can ask the question. First one, please. Anyone? Please. Sir, behind.
Stephen, Sunil Chhetri, Sunil Chhetri is not there, and probably you won't be, coming up with your best combination. So, is it concerned, and what will be your strategy?
Well, of course, Sunil missing is a blow. I mean, he's obviously a great player. He's been fantastic over the last 4 years for me. I believe he scored more goals in his time with me than at any other time. So he will be a loss for us, but it just gives opportunities to some of the younger players to step up. And hopefully we can find not a replacement. I don't think you replace a player of his caliber, but somebody has to fill his shoes, and we will see if they step up. I mean, we don't often play without them, so it's time that we found somebody, if you like. I mean, Sunil is not a spring chicken anymore, and there will become a day when he's not there. So it's better we find somebody now. While he's still around, he can still pass on his knowledge and experience, and that's why we have some of the younger players, strikers, in and around it. Although they won't be of his caliber at the moment, we have to find somebody that will be there when he's gone, so we don't have a void.
Gentleman, there. No.
Hi, Stephen.
Hi.
The fact that you said that, are you hinting at Sunil Chhetri less India in the future? Because yeah,
I'm not hinting. He's 36 years old. At some point, he's going to stop. So what I try to do is try to involve as many young Indian strikers as possible. There's a shortage. Our players don't want to play striker, whether they're in the I-League or the Indian Super League, because we bring foreigners who play those positions. So an Indian is thinking to himself, do I want to play striker? No, I probably won't play because I'm a foreigner. Let me play wide right, let me play left back or something. So it's not a hint or anything like that. It's Father Time comes to us all.
but why the situation has risen to this level? Because on current form, Sunil is doing well. I mean, it's
well, in case you hadn't noticed, he's injured.
Yeah, but still, I mean, whatever he has played, he has not shown anything that is a slide in his form or anything. So is there something to do with other than football? Because there are rumors.
Stop talking nonsense, okay? At least with me, ask me the right question. And I'm telling you, you asked me the question, and I've told you the answer. It's nothing to do with anything other than he's not here. If he's not here, I can't play. End of story.
Okay, one final question. Some of the senior players are reportedly unhappy with you.
No, please pass on the mic. Please, Shruti, please pass the mic.
Coach? Yes.
This side. Yeah. Yes, please. Do you think that Mohammad Kendall is ready to play for the senior team?
No.
So, as you said that, who you consider as a player of Sunil Chhetri as a striker?
No, I just said that Sunil Chhetri is one of those players that irreplaceable. Somebody has to take the place of the striker in India. Will it be Connor? Will it be Pasi? Will it be Balma? Will it be JJ? For this game, we will have to see. But for the future, who knows? I mean, can you replace Wayne Rooney in the England team? I'm not sure that you can. But we're going to try, so we have to find and look for other alternatives.
Slightly long, drawn-out question. JJ has been dropped 4 matches this season.
Yeah.
Played 301 minutes in the league, no goals. Looked a bit off-color in the China friendly. And 2 months before the Asian Cup, got to be a worry for you.
Oh yeah, it's absolutely correct. It's a worry for me when all of the players that are in the squad are not playing or playing in positions that they don't play when they play with us. But there's not a lot I can do about that. I can't control who plays for the clubs or what positions they play. And as we said with Sunil missing this game, we don't have too many choices, and this is why we have tried to develop the team in the last 4 years, given 46 debuts to players, because we need to have a greater pool of players.
But is there game time or worry? Is there game time? Because only Balwant Singh seems to be getting regular game time.
Yeah, it is a worry, but then you look at other strikers. Manvir is off the bench. Farouk is in and out. Pasi has played perhaps more than some of the others. You know, you tell me what to do. If you have a striker that you know that's fit and is Indian, bring him in. Hi, how are you? And thanks for posting that the other day, by the way. Respect.
Coach, is the Jordan game will be tougher than the China game, or the China was a tougher side?
That's a good question. Look, I think Jordan are a good side. They have a number of very, very good, interesting players. But you know, the moment that we had qualified, I sat down and think, well, we need to play these teams leading up to the Asian Cup. It's going to be tough. We're going to be under pressure, and I know some people like to say that we play long ball. I have never ever said to the boys at any stage in the 4 years, play long when you have time to play it. But if you don't have time to play it and you're under pressure, you do what you want to do. I mean, if you make a mistake in and around the 18-yard box, you concede. We don't want to concede. It's hard enough playing against these teams without us making our own mistakes. So I'm not sure if that answers your question, but close enough.
I thought which teams?
Which is the better team?
China or Jordan will be trying to tougher.
Listen, if I say China, the Jordanians will kill me tomorrow. If I say Jordan, the Chinese will kill me. So they're both good sides. It'll be a different type of game, but I expect us to be under pressure, so I wouldn't like to choose between them.
Hi Stephen, just to follow up on what you just said, you have around 7 weeks left between now and the first game against UAE. How many games would you like to... first game against Thailand. So how many games would you like for India to ideally play in this period, and how many games do you think you're actually going to get?
Well, I'd like about 4 or 5 between now and then, but obviously that's not going to happen. We've got Jordan, then we've got Oman, and then there's one other game scheduled 31st of December that has not been confirmed. Look, the question, is it enough time? It's never enough time. You give me 10 days, I want 12. You give me 15, I want 18. This is the I suppose a major complaint that every national coach will have. It's never enough time, and I'm not going to sit here and lie to you and say 10 days, 12 days is enough time. It's not, but that's what I got. I have to get on with it, and we will not make excuses, and that's it.
Siddhant.
Hi.
Hi.
In the context of what you were just saying, the league structure that is currently happening in India, in terms of preparedness of the national team to face higher quality opposition, do you think that works out, or is that why you need more time, because the level of competition here is still sort of very different from the Asian standard?
In its infancy, shall we say. Yeah, look, the pace and level of our leagues is not up to the international standard, and that is the main reason why we need more time. Because when the players come from their clubs, there is an amount of work that they need to have done, and if they don't get that week in, week out, it drops. So when it comes to us, we need X, Y, Z amount of days to bring them back up to the level before we can go and play. And that's why when we say we need the players, now the European-based players, they don't need that time, because the level of many of the European leagues is as good, if not better, than some of the international teams. So when they come back from their clubs, or when they come from their clubs to the national teams in Cyprus or Greece or Spain or whatever, all they have to worry about is the player injured? Is he able to play in the position that the coach wants him to play? And that's pretty much it. They don't have to worry about the physical side. They don't have to worry about. I think all they got to worry about is, can we fit him into the position he's fit, and that's all they care about at that point. So yeah, good question now.
If I can quickly follow up, does that mean that you're primarily preparing the national team to fit into the way you want them to play, or are you creating specific plans to counter? Or it must be a combination of both, I'm sure. But is the focus mainly on getting the team to do what you need them to do for those 90 minutes?
Well, obviously, we have a plan that we'd like to implement during the game, and a course of action. We watched the other teams quite a lot. I mean, we saw China 3-4 times before. We knew that they would try and play the ball out of the back, so we countered that by putting the two strikers up on the wide players. A midfield player came in and took care of their number 6 who was trying to take the ball. I don't mean literally number 6, but the defensive midfield player. So yeah, we do things obviously different to how the boys are doing in their clubs, and we've got 28 boys, 10 different teams, 10 different philosophies, 10 different coaches. And even in the same philosophy, sometimes the system is different or the instruction is different. So it's really not a great amount of time when you consider all the things that you have to do. And then you think about, well, clubs are having problems getting players to play how they want, the right system. How can we do it at national team level? It's very, very difficult. But like I said, it's not something that we sit here and complain about, because it's not gonna help me. But it was a good question. Thank you.
Yes, please. Stephen, hi. Indian Express, National Daily. First of all, congratulations on overseeing, India qualify for the all-important Asian Cup.
Thank you very much.
No problem. And overseeing, a quite remarkable jump in terms of FIFA world ranking for India. I mean, we were languishing in 150 position and 173. There you go. That's good. Given the introduction of the new FIFA algorithm, which is going to be used for calculating the FIFA world ranking, Jordan stands at a much better place if they win against India, and India stands a lesser amount of points won in terms of positions. Yes. So, what are your feelings about the new system, and how are you going to go out and face the dressing room? What's your message to the boys here?
Okay. Firstly, the FIFA rankings. This is the old format. I think they've gone back to the old format that they had a few years ago, whereby teams who play get rewarded, as opposed to you don't play for 6 months, you play one game against a team that's higher ranked than you, and you go up. Again, it's something I don't control. The FIFA rankings only interest me for one reason, and that is that we are high enough where we don't have to go in the pre-qualifiers, or we are high enough where we get put in pot A or B, whatever it is. Does it show a sign of improvement in a national team where everybody likes to say, we are the highest ranked team in our history and we've gone up? Yeah, I think it is an indicator, if you like, of if the national team is doing well, but the national team is a reflection of the leagues. So it's not just the national team that's going up, it's everybody that's going up. That's how I see it. As to what we say to motivate the boys, I think, listen, if you are playing for your country, do you really need any motivation? I don't think so. Obviously, we are telling them things that we want to do, little reminders and subliminal messages here and there. But look, I think we have a good group of players who have worked themselves into the ground for the last 4 years. It's not just about me or the backroom staff. The backroom staff we have are amazing. I have to thank the AIFF, Mr. Das, Mr. Patel, because they have given me free hand, free rein. Go and do whatever you want, just get us to the Asian Cup. We are there now where I think we deserve to be. My concern is always what happens next. So it's no good if we qualify in 2018 and we don't qualify in 2022 or 23, whatever it is. We need to be more consistent overall, but obviously that's some way down the line. At the moment, we are in the best position that we have been for some time. I'm very proud of the players and the staff, and we still have a job to do, and we're going to go there and do India proud.
Thank you.
Yes. Hi, Coach. Not a lot of football will be played after this international break in terms of the ISL. Would you say that in terms of the players who are going to the UAE, you more or less know who's going, or is there something that can change in those 3 weeks?
That's a sneaky question. Look, I would like to put my head down tonight, go to sleep and say, that's it. There's 23 boys there, they're going. But I can't, because there are games between now and when we leave. We leave on the 20th, the NSL finishes on the 17th. And I'm not going to be a very stable person on the 16th or 17th waiting for somebody to come through the door who has injured himself or broken a finger or something like that, because we don't want that to happen. But just for your information, we will travel to Abu Dhabi on the 20th with 28 players. And then we will drop 5 on the 2nd of January. That's to cover any illnesses or any injuries that may occur there. So I'm trying to cover all the bases. Obviously, you don't want your best players to be injured, and one of those players is Sunil Chhetri. To go back to your little question, your very sneaky question. But you can ask me again, it's okay. I'm not trying to replace anybody that is there. Sunil is injured, I have to replace him. Do I want to replace him? No, I don't. He's been in all of my squads. Why would I replace one of the best players that's ever played in this country? I mean, it just doesn't make sense.
Coach, before the election started, you talk about the smog and the bad air quality in Delhi. So how are you countering that thing? And why have you shifted the national camp to some other city? Primarily because the ISL I-League is on and the grounds are not available. What's the reason?
Okay, there's a couple of reasons. The first reason is, in order to set up a camp, it's a logistical nightmare, and the logistical department is right over there. Her name is Snigdha. So you have anything that happens that goes wrong, blame her. Okay, right, Snigdha? So flights need to be booked, stadium needs to be booked, sectors, travel sectors for staff, for players. We are not England, where it's up the M25 and we're okay. It's the distances are huge, so that's one problem. Booking the stadium is another issue. Getting it the times that we need. Precautions. Normally, those of you that come and watch us in training sometimes, when we allow you, basically you'll see the boys come out, they'll be using TerraBands, balls, medicine balls, mats and everything. That's all outside, okay? So we put all of that inside. So that's about, before they come out, they are preparing themselves anywhere between 15 to 25 minutes. So that happens inside because of the smog. And I've been told that the acceptable levels in India or in Delhi are 300 and below. Well, in Australia, I think the acceptable level is about 50. So had we been in Australia, then we would have been doing something else. But I think yesterday was 268, and the day before was 235, and when I woke up this morning it was 500, but I'm told by the time we get to the training stadium at 4, it may be 260 something. I mean, it's very difficult. Obviously, the welfare of the players is paramount to me and the staff, and we are trying to do everything within our capabilities to reduce the risk.
Any one question, please? Yes, please. Last one. The mic is there.
Now, I want my friend who's talking to the lady to ask me the question again.
Yeah.
I want you to ask me a question again.
Yeah, I would like.
Yeah.
Then after this, please. When you're ready.
I'm ready. I finished.
Hi. Yeah, with Stephen Chhetri now out, who will be the captain against Jordan?
Well, I was waiting for that question. Yeah. Okay. You will know what they know. So I'm here 4 years. I have rotated the captain since day one. Although some of you say that Sunil Chhetri was the captain for all the games in the Intercontinental, correct? Yes? He was. And why was he the captain for all those games? Because it was his 100th game. And I feel that he deserved that, to be captain for all 3 games. And if you remember when he scored his hat-trick, somebody substituted him in the 89th minute so that he would receive the accolade that he deserves by himself, not coming off at the end of the game. So now, if I had a problem, going back to my little friend, if I had a problem with him or any other player, do you not think I would have done something completely different? He has been phenomenal for the Indian national team, and that's the way it is. So the captaincy, Subrata Paul has been the captain, Sandesh has been the captain, Gupta has been the captain, Anirudh Thapa has been the captain, Ranjan has been the captain, Spasi's Kos has been the captain, Arnab Mondar has been the captain. What we try to do is, when you have one captain, you generally get one voice. Okay? And when you have 4 captains, you get four voices and a bigger opinion from all the players. Plus, if I don't rotate captains, who would have been captain today? Perhaps one of you would have suggested somebody, example. But I'm trying to develop the team from top to bottom. We have leaders. We have new leaders, not replacements. Sunil is a captain. He will always be a captain, but he's one of the captains. I hope that answers it.
Okay,
next one.
The question is that you have tried enough with rotating with the captains and all that, but there should be some difference, because now it's time to probably India to go to the next stage where you should have definitely 1 or 2 captains which you are looking for. That probably has not worked up to this moment, because we're still not sure. As you mentioned that
you are not sure.
Are you sure?
I am sure. I know. Okay. Today I know who will be the captain tomorrow in Jordan. Who will be the captain Oman? Who will be the captain in the next game? I know. It will be one of 3 or 4.
Different blueprint for that.
It will be one of the 3 or 4 guys that we have used before.
Okay. The final question for me is
the unrest in the dressing room.
Yes.
Okay. Why don't you go and ask the people who are telling you this?
No, we have already asked some of the players, without naming them, some of the senior players have reportedly gone to the AIFF to replace you.
Okay.
Right, so...
and I'm still here.
And you're still here. Because you have given results. That's also a fact.
Okay. Is there any other way to judge a coach?
Thank you. I have done that. So, thank you, Edgar. But that information has come to you.
What?
That the senior players have gone to the AIFF to replace you.
Okay, let me give you a classic example. If there were players unhappy with me, do you think they would have played and fought the way they did against China? Don't answer that. Do you think we would have gone 14 games unbeaten for the first time in our history Do you think we would have won the SAF when we started the camp with 10 players? Now, look at the results in the last 4 years. If the players are unhappy with me, let it be. Because they are playing out of their skin. They are playing out of their skin. So, if you think they're unhappy, they're unhappy.
Last question. One question. Yeah, the 30-man squad you named for Jordan had 29 ISL players, despite them being out of form and that. Like, are you not looking towards IID?
We are looking for any Indian player that's going to make us better. Okay, I don't pick where the players go. That's their careers. They decide their clubs, and you know, I can only pick what I think is that are players that are going to help us. Picking a player who is as good as is not going to do it. To bring somebody else now at this stage, he needs to be a lot better than what we have, in my opinion.
Last question.
In two parts, if I may.
Of course.
The first part is yes, no.
Okay. No.
In the upcoming fixtures, including the Asian Cup, is it your assessment that India will be primarily facing stronger opposition than under pressure more?
I think that is an absolute given.
Okay. So in that context, how important is it to have a stable backline, sir, and do you have an ideal two at the heart of that defense that you would like to play?
Well, I think our back line has been pretty stable in the last few games. Of course, Anas was injured previously, so was not able to play. He came on for a little bit. Will I tweak things a little bit? Maybe. We'll see. I mean, we want to put the best team out to give us the best chance to win. We're not going to lose. I don't set any team out to lose. But you have to sometimes factor in the level and the quality of the players that we're playing against. So we will. I'm quite happy generally as a team. Generally, the team has performed well and gotten results. So I'm not sure if I'm answering your question enough. Which basically you said to me, am I going to change anybody in the back four?
Or do you have the preferred, at least the two the two centre backs?
Yeah, I probably do. I won't ever say that out loud. You will look at the games maybe and think those are his two preferred. I saw some interesting comments yesterday in an article. By the way, I don't usually read the articles, but I was forced to in this occasion. The person who wrote the article there was no criticism. He was just voicing his opinion, and that's fine. Everybody has their opinion on players, on systems, on style, on colour of hair, whatever you want. But is it the same as mine? Sometimes it's very close, sometimes it is, sometimes it isn't. That doesn't mean that I'm 100% right in everything I do, but it also doesn't mean that you're 100% right in everything you write or everything you say. You think. Now, if you are in my shoes and you have everything in front of you, maybe you do things slightly different to what you think now, simply because you're not in my position. So there's a lot of factors that go into players play, don't play, how they train, how they don't train. And I think that's just part of the game. But again, that's an interesting question.
All right, so you heard him, and in the end, he's the coach we have got going into the Asian Cup. There's very little likelihood that he will be replaced before the Asian Cup, which is fair because he got us into the Asian Cup. Last couple of last coach that was there in the Asian Cup qualifiers could not get us in there, but this time we did qualify. So since he got us there, he deserves to be there when we play. And we'll see what happens after that. Maybe he stays, maybe he goes. But for now, given the way we have been producing results, and I'm not talking about the SAF championship games or something like that, but getting a draw against China, that was a good result. And since this final phase has begun, India is delivering results on the pitch. We should be, giving Constantine a chance. We should be giving a team a chance to prove themselves. What do you think about that? It's time to drop all the controversy and just start supporting India, isn't it?
Yeah, we always look forward to what we've got on the field and keep our hopes high. And certainly this series of matches against China, against Jordan, probably against one other country that will be playing before we head into the Asian Cup. I think this really helps us understand that we can score. So we've not seen blackouts except for the China game. We've not seen blackouts so often. So that's a good part that we're able to get in the goals even with limited number of chances created. So that's the key point. We may or may not get any chances with the Asian Cup during the matches, but being clinical is most important. That's one of the aspects that we can probably work on and take home from this match.
Yeah, let's hope. In the end, when a football match is going on, since so many people are watching and so many people have opinions on this, what happens is not just a game. There is a parallel philosophical debate that happens. And no matter what the ideologies are, no matter what you think should be the course of action a coach should follow, if the team delivers result, if the final score is there, then there is enough justification for whatever the coach did and whatever the players did. And for a team like us, who are not the cream de la cream of Asian football, if we get a 0-0 draw against Jordan, I would take it happily. What do you think is going to happen, Kevin? What's your predicted result?
I really certainly feel that India will score, come what may, because we've managed to do that almost in every game. We do score, even with whatever resources we have.
Yeah.
But this game, without Sunil Chhetri, looks a little doubtful about that. But again, I still hope JJ or Balwan, even Jackie can get in one goal. But I don't know if he'll be able to contain Jordan too much. So one goal for India, probably we concede 1 or 2.
Okay.
Either a 1-1 draw or a 2-1 loss for India.
Either a 1-1 draw or a 2-1 loss. I was thinking of 2-1 loss. Not that I don't have hope, but I think I should be predicting a loss for India on principle, because last time I did that, they got a draw against China. So maybe this is a way that we can try reverse jinxing all our matches all the way into the Asian Cup, and let's hope it turns out that way. Thank you for listening to us. If you're listening to this on YouTube, please like, share, subscribe. If you're listening on Facebook, do like, comment, share. You can also listen to this on your podcasting platform of choice, like iTunes, Stitcher, or whatever else you may be using. This is also available on the ivmpodcast.com website and the IVM Podcasts app. And on those websites and that app, you can also listen to all the best podcasts that India has to offer right here on IVM Studios. So thank you again for listening to us. On Monday, the next TFG Indian Football podcast episode will come back with details of what happened in the game, what went right, what went wrong, and how India did without Sunil Chhetri in an important game against an West Asian opponent. So thanks for listening once again, and come back to us on Monday.
Long ago, not in Bethlehem, but in a place nearby, there was a wonderful birth of a huge show, which I like to call Cyrus Says. A show that encapsulates everything in human history, from the first Homo sapien to the last Homo sapien, who's traversed the entire world and then come back to India. This is a show which tells you everything about everything. If you want to know, avoid Google, come to us. It's called Cyrus Says. Get new episodes every Monday and Thursday on the IVM Podcast app, website, or wherever you get your podcasts from. It's simple as A, B, oh God, what comes after that?
Give me a word. या कोई भी लाइन. कुछ भी हो सकता है यार. क्या कहा आपने? टोपी. Okay. Mohan Joshi hated wearing topis. He felt suffocated in them. टोपी पहनते ही उसे स्कूल की याद आती थी. Where of course he had no choice but to wear a टोपी. But जिस दिन पास आउट हुआ, उसी दिन उसने अपनी टोपी का बॉनफायर बना दिया. And since then he'd never worn a cap or a hat. ना कड़कती धूप में and not even to बचाओ from the ठंडी. But from Monday 26th February, Mohan Joshi had to wear a topi all the time. Why? Because if he didn't, everyone around him knew exactly वो क्या सोच रहा था. They knew that he was wondering how the girl in the yellow churidar would look बिना कपड़े के. They knew when he was calling the boss a सड़ेला टमाटर. They knew everything. पर ये सब हुआ कैसे? अरे भाई, यही तो स्टोरी है. और ये स्टोरी आप ही ने मुझे दिया by giving me the starting word. यही तो है The Croc's Tales. Words आपके, कहानी आपके लिए. Catch the stories on Monday and Thursday on the IVM website, app, and anywhere you get your podcast from. See you soon.